Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a Heisman winner.
Yep. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
Former Lion.
Yeah,
A lot of love.
Yeah.
Lion Gracie.
Hey, a lot of love up
Made a
here in
lot of
Detroit
plays.
for you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Hopefully they still rocking the 21.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, feel the love from New Orleans up to Detroit. Obviously, massive move. You were an electrifying football player from literally the first time I watched you to the last time I saw. I mean, you were a game changer. Let's talk about the news right now. Yes, they're chanting you deserve it. We all agree. Everybody with sound mind knows that you were the best football player in college football in 2005. How did we get to this point? Did you ever lose hope that maybe it was never going to happen? And when you finally get told that it's taken place, what are the feelings? More than you expected? Less than you expected? Where are you at in the whole thing?
Well, when I first got the news, I was excited, obviously, because this was a fight that we've been fighting for a very long time. And, I'm happy that the Heisman Trust, made the right decision, did the right thing, got the trophy back. And obviously, like I said, I was excited when I got the news, but I've always felt like I was going to get the Heisman Trophy back, always. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And it didn't matter to me how long it took as well. I was going to fight until it could have been another 20 years. I was going to continue to fight for it. So I'm just happy that it happened now.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it's a prestigious group, obviously, that you have earned your way into. As this is all taking place, a lot of your highlights are resurfacing. You watch it. You have to, right? We're watching those. Yeah. We're reminding ourselves of what we used to do to dudes. It was every week, every game, electricity. I'm sure going through the old highlights, has there been nostalgia? Have you got out and started running to see if you still got it? What's it been like?
Anytime I get a chance to watch my old highlights, usually with my kids love to bring up my highlights, and that to me is the best part, is when my kids want to watch it.
Beautiful block.
That was an amazing block right there, too, by Fred Matua. But, it's mostly with my kids, man, when I get a chance to watch my highlights, because they love bringing them up, and that's a very full circle moment for me. Any chance I get a chance, to do that with my kids and just show them, the things that Daddy did on the football field. And they can take that to school, and be proud of that, and, however else they see it.
Well, Reggie, I was at school at the same time you were, and I had Pat White and Steve Slayton on my team. Yep. And I watched them do electrifying things. And then we watched primetime games, and you were on, and it was just electric. That era of college football.
Golden age.
So good.
Yes,
and you
sir.
were a massive piece of it. Happy you got your Heisman back. D-Buck got a question for you, Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you once again for those highlights. It was you and Peter Ward, P-Dub, when it came to highlights for me.
Yeah.
But who was it? Who did you watch and kind of model your game after? We had Barry on the set. I'm going to assume Barry Sanders was one of those guys, being the way that he played and how you played. But who was that guy or those guys that you modeled after? And then the second question, how's the golf game right now? See you grinding. I need to know the handicap. I need to know the strengths and weaknesses right now, just in case we have to cross paths.
Smart.
Let me answer your first question, man. Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, those were the two guys, man, that I idolized, that I patterned my game after. But it was really Barry, man, because when you watch Barry, it didn't matter how close you were to him, right? It felt like you couldn't touch him, you couldn't get a hand on him. And it almost looked like magic, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I wanted to pattern myself after, that I saw from Barry, was just the way that he played the game, the charisma that he had, the heart that he played with. But it was also just the ability to look like a magician on the football field. And that's something that nobody can take away from you. I don't care who it is, NCAA, whatever, nobody.
You just said 4 letters there. They're so dumb. I couldn't even imagine how you feel about it. And obviously it's not their decision for that, even though they banned you, I think, for 10 years from USC. Yep. I assume with this Heisman and getting back around campus and Lincoln Riley, we're going to have some sort of celebration. Has that been fun, too, to kind of get the flowers from the school that loves you that you haven't been able to for some time?
Absolutely. USC has always been my school. It's always been in my heart. And I can't wait to get back there and celebrate.
Man, that Heisman celebration for the second time. You already did one.
Make it bigger.
You already did one. You got your second wedding. You already learned.
Unreal.
You already learned from it. Last question here, Connor, for you, Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie, obviously we're at the NFL draft, and, no running backs in the first round. And, I think Sean Payton told a story a couple years ago to us about how stunned he was that he fell to you guys. And, that was a pick maybe. Is it weird watching that? And do you feel like that might be a trend going forward with these running backs?
Well, I hope to see the running back market get back up to where I think it needs to be, because running backs take a beating every time they step out on that football field. They're the workhorses of the teams. I still believe that there is a space for running backs, and running the football is going to get back into our game. I know it's a passing league right now, but again, when I got drafted to New Orleans Saints, man, that was just a magical time. It was a few months after Hurricane Katrina, and it was amazing to be able to go down there and just right away start to get into the communities, start to develop relationships with the people down there, and then ultimately bring a Super Bowl down to New Orleans.
Yeah, we get it. I had to punt against you. I tell this story to my friends about like how I grew up in the Reggie Bush era, so all I've seen is highlights, and then you get to the Super Bowl, and it's who are you punting the ball to? Oh, the guy. You're punting to the meme. You're punting it to the GIF out there. So much respect by everybody that ever played against you.
Yeah.
AJ has a question for you, Reggie.
Reg, Caleb Williams obviously goes #1 overall from USC. How do you think his pro career goes, and what do you make of everything, all the hoopla around this guy? We've known for 2 years.
Lot of
Probably
hoopla.
Yeah, but people love,
hoopla.
people love with all this time to break everything down and try to find things wrong with players. How do you think he's going to do in Chicago? Obviously, it looks like they had a good draft already.
I think he's going to do good. I think he's going to do great. He has good weapons down there already, and I think the thing that I saw from Caleb Williams that really excites me the most, that right away transitions to the NFL, is just his ability to be able to extend the plays, right? And those are things that you see with the greatest quarterbacks right now at the top level, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. It's that ability to be able to extend plays and give your receivers a little bit more time to get open down the football field. And I think, in this league where football is right now, especially where the quarterback position it is right now, his game to me translates right away more than if he was just a pocket passer.
Hey, as we pivot back to you, do you have the Heisman back already? Did they overnight that?
Man, it's right there, big dog. What you mean?
Hey, that's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Reggie Chance in Detroit. Support.
My people down there.
Support from all around the football world. The right thing ended up happening again with you getting your trophy back. Congratulations. Have a great weekend, Reg. Thank you for making time.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Bush. He was so good at football.
Ridiculous.
So good.
So good at football. It was dumb. You'd watch those games, and they were prime time every time.
Yep.
Will Ferrell was showing up at their practices.
Yep.
Pete Carroll had the place upside down, and it's like that guy was striding on folks. And then they had Lendale
White.
who was a little thunder in the entire thing, and let alone Matt Leinart, who had just such a pretty stroke.
Oh, my God.
Such a pretty left-handed stroke. He was allegedly dating every superstar.
Yeah.
They were the Hollywoods. They were the
Heisman back-to-back. Wasn't it Leinart, Reggie, Heisman's? Back-to-back?
Yep. Then Tebow.
and they were like the biggest celebrities in
they were an
Hollywood.
NFL team.
Oh, no, that's what
in
USC wants to get back to. USC needs Snoop on the sideline.
That's what they're selling,
They need
right?
Johnny
Yeah.
Knoxville catching punts in practice, getting annihilated, if you remember that back in the day, too.
Yeah, and
Pete brought all
Poopies would do that right
Oh,
now.
my God.
Poopies is engaged. Congrats to Poopies on that. I'd like to say that.
He's
very
engaged?
happy. She's very happy.
Reggie was one of those dudes.
Congratulations.
You had to go back and watch his high school highlights too. That was
my
before
goodness,
like YouTube was as big as it was. But like Reggie, I remember watching like Sean Taylor's like high school highlight. Those dudes like different cats.
How do we feel though about like the Heisman committee, seemingly a group of doofuses?
Yep.
Like that's what I would assume. Probably not right, because the people I saw in the video were like Ricky Williams is in there.
Yeah.
We all are big fans of them. If they're the Heisman committee, I take back what I just said. But with that a lot of those people that are in those positions in those committees, and they make a lot of bad decisions.
Sure.
Like they do a lot of dumb things. We've seen it a lot across the board. So for them to actually make it right, I know it's late in a lot of people's eyes, but it's better than never. So I'm happy Reggie's getting his chance to kind of take his parade and regain his rightful spot in. It's a bunch of bullshit, but I'm happy it got settled. You know what I mean, Ty? That's how I feel about it.
No, for sure. And then, to your point, if you look up the Heisman Trust board, this is the kind of decision we'd assume that this group of people would be making, just like guys who are totally separated from reality. But again, maybe that's all it takes is a guy like Johnny DeManziel to be like, hey, this is bullshit, and it's
the
not
voice
like,
of reason.
Yeah, right. And it's not like he's like the poster boy for the Heisman, but when you have former winners starting to say like, hey, we're not going to show up in New York for the Heisman ceremony. We're not going to be standing on the stage when you give out the Heisman the next year if you don't reinstate this for Reggie. That good on them for actually kind of caving into the public pressure a little bit. Being like, yeah, this is bullshit. Let's give it back to him.
They didn't have to. Remember, these people are stubborn, these things.
They talk to each other.
Yeah, they do. They like to gossip.
They mingle.
And you're going to bow down. That's what they say to each other.
The
And
integrity of college football. We're protecting it.
I'm
They
saying,
stick
but
by
with
it.
how much the landscape is changing college football with the NIL and Caleb and these guys making millions of dollars and then coming in now, I feel like at some point soon they had to change. But to your point, I am glad it happened sooner. He's not 70 years old. He got his Heisman. Looking forward to him getting them Heisman House.
Oh, yeah.
Too. Hopefully Cam get in there too.
Well, hopefully Tim Tebow and
I saw Cam this morning in the elevator.
Cam
That guy
Newton.
He's
is
gigantic.
the biggest dude I've ever seen in my life.
He was doing interviews last night.
Yeah.
He was interviewing these dudes like this.
He was
crazy.
he wasn't even wearing shoes. He was just wearing socks, and I still was like, this is the biggest guy I've ever.